The day I found the letter my mother hid from me, my entire understanding of who I was cracked open, like glass dropped on a concrete floor. And before I tell you what was written on that letter, if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if stories like this move you, and drop your thoughts in the comment section because your support helps this channel grow and helps these stories reach the people who might need them the most. I never planned to find the letter. It wasn't waiting for me dramatically on a table or tucked inside a book with my name written across it. It was hidden the way truths often are, buried beneath ordinary things, folded into the corners of daily life where no one thinks to look. My mother had always been careful, deliberate, the kind of woman who kept everything in its place, from the spice jars in the kitchen to the emotions she allowed herself to show. Growing up, I thought she was simply strong, unshakable. The kind of parent who never cried in front of her children and never explained more than she felt was necessary. I didn't realize until much later that what I mistook for strength was often fear wearing a calm face. When I was a child, our house was quiet in a way that didn't feel peaceful. There was no shouting, no slammed doors, no chaos. Just silence, stretched thin between the rooms like a held breath. My mother raised me alone. She never spoke about my father, not in anger, not in sadness, not even in passing. When other kids asked me where my dad was, I learned to shrug and say, "It's just me and my mom." That answer became a shield. I didn't question it because children don't always know what questions they are allowed to ask. And my mother, intentionally or not, taught me that some subjects were off limits simply by never opening the door to them. As I grew older, the silence around my father became heavier. Not louder, just denser. Like fog you don't see until you're already walking through it. I'd catch my mother staring out the window late at night, her tea gone cold in her hands. Sometimes I'd hear her crying in the bathroom, soft, controlled sobs that stopped the moment she realized I was nearby. If I asked what was wrong, she would smile that tired smile and say she was just exhausted. And I believed her, because believing her was easier than pushing. It wasn't until after her death that I found the letter. Saying that sentence still feels unreal. My mother's death was sudden. One day she was complaining about a headache, the next day she was gone. A stroke, the doctors said. Quick. Merciful. That word still makes me angry. There was nothing merciful about losing the one person who anchored my entire life without warning, without goodbye, without answers. After the funeral, after the casseroles stopped arriving and the house emptied of relatives and condolences, I was left alone with her things. The house felt different without her. Too big. Too hollow. Every sound echoed. Every room carried the weight of her absence. I started sorting through her belongings because I didn't know what else to do. It felt like movement, like progress, like something a functioning adult would do in the face of grief. I found the letter in a small wooden box tucked into the back of her closet. The box itself wasn't locked, which surprised me. Inside were old photographs, some jewelry I'd never seen her wear, and at the very bottom, a single envelope, yellowed with age. My name was written on the front in her handwriting. Not the careful script she used for bills and lists, but softer, almost trembling. I sat on the floor and stared at it for a long time. Part of me already knew that whatever was inside would change something. You don't hide a letter addressed to your child unless you're afraid of what it might do when it's read. My hands shook as I opened it. I remember thinking that this was the closest I would ever get to hearing her voice again. The letter began simply. She told me she loved me. That she always had. That every decision she made was with me in mind, even the ones I would never understand. Then the words shifted. The tone grew heavier. And that's when she told me the truth about my father. He hadn't left us. He hadn't abandoned me. He never knew I existed. According to the letter, my mother and my father met when they were young. They fell in love quickly, intensely, the way people do when they don't yet understand how fragile happiness can be. But life intervened. Circumstances, pressure, fear. He left town to take a job far away, promising he would come back. Shortly after he left, my mother found out she was pregnant. By the time she worked up the courage to tell him, she learned that he had been killed in an accident. She wrote about the moment she received the news, how the world went silent, how she collapsed on the kitchen floor, clutching the phone, screaming into an emptiness that would never answer her back. She was alone, pregnant, and terrified. And she made a decision. She decided to raise me without the ghost of a man I would never meet. She believed that telling me the truth would only give me a wound I couldn't heal. So she chose silence. As I read, I felt emotions colliding inside me. Grief for a father I never knew. Anger at my mother for keeping this from me. Sympathy for the young woman she had been, drowning in fear and heartbreak. Love for the mother who did everything she could to protect me, even if it meant hurting me in ways she hoped I'd never feel. The letter went on to explain why she never told me. She was afraid that if I knew, I would resent her. Afraid that I would chase a memory and lose myself in what could have been. Afraid that the truth would pull me away from her. She wrote that every year, she considered giving me the letter. On my birthdays. On my graduation. On quiet nights when I slept down the hall. And every year, she folded it back up and hid it again, telling herself she was buying me more time. By the time I finished reading, my face was soaked with tears. I wasn't just mourning her death anymore. I was mourning the life I might have had if things had been different. A father's voice I would never hear. A history I was never allowed to know. For weeks after that, I walked around in a fog. I replayed every memory of my childhood, looking for signs. For clues. For moments where the truth almost slipped through. I wondered if my mother ever regretted her choice. If she lay awake at night wishing she'd been braver. Or if she truly believed she was doing the right thing until the very end. Eventually, grief gave way to reflection. And reflection led me somewhere unexpected. I realized that the letter wasn't just about what my mother hid from me. It was about what she carried alone for decades. A love she lost. A future that vanished overnight. A secret that shaped every part of our lives. I began to understand that parents are not just parents. They are people with unfinished stories, unhealed wounds, and impossible decisions. My mother wasn't perfect. But she was human. And she loved me fiercely, even when love took the form of silence. The letter didn't answer every question. It didn't erase the pain. But it gave me something I didn't know I needed. Compassion. Not just for my mother, but for myself. For the child who grew up feeling like something was missing but didn't know why. For the adult now learning to live with the truth. I keep the letter now in my own desk, not hidden, not displayed, just present. A reminder that love is complicated. That truth has weight. And that sometimes, the things we hide are the things that shape us the most. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of something unspoken in your own life, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, and sharing your thoughts in the comments section. Your engagement helps this channel grow and helps more stories like this reach the people who need them. And as I close this story, I'll leave you with this thought. We may never fully understand the choices our parents made, but when we listen closely to the truths they leave behind, we might finally understand the love that guided them all along. Until our next story, thanks for watching.